They do have a timeout. To Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
Yo, what's good, guys? My name is Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today, we got a detailed look and review on a shoe that I'm surprised came back. It's the Under Armour Curry 2 Retro. Kind of weird. I still have plenty of the originals. However, they did bring them back in what was originally a PE and is now known as the Curry 2 Retro Bang Bang. Do you remember watching that game? I'm a big Curry fan, by the way. We live in Sacramento, but we're from the Bay Area. So we are Bay Area natives. We are Dub Nation all the way through. The Warriors and the Clippers, when I was a kid, were like the teams that sucked ass. Nobody messed with them. When they started winning, it was crazy. So a little fun fact, I actually put the boxes propped up on my little Curry guys right here. Curry's my dude. So like I love him and he's always with me. It sounds creepy, I know, but it's cool. I actually have two of them. Why? I don't know. I bought two. It's what a toy collector does. And shoe collectors, believe it or not. But yeah, a lot of people are looking at these and they're kind of like, what the hell? Why did they retro the Curry 2? Why didn't they Flotro them? Good news. They did. So something interesting is that the old shoe comes in kind of an older style box. Not like the originals though, because my other Curry 2s came in these, which is cool. But yeah, so it's just really cool to see, even though it's weird. Like I think this with every player that gets a retro that's currently still on the court. It's just strange to see retro products of guys that are not, like they're still in their primes, it feels, you know what I mean? Like LeBron James still killing it. Who else gets retros? KD's killing it. Curry, like it's weird. The only time that it happened before was with Jordan, but he technically retired twice. Every time they brought out a retro, he was already retired and he decided he was gonna come back. He was bored. He was like, no, I just want to kick everybody's ass again. It's really weird. Any differences between these two? The only things that I could see are the toes. The toes actually are awful looking. Gosh, what the hell? They pulled a Jordan brand. This thing is like a square compared to the original. So that's the one main difference. The other difference, I don't know if it's due to age, but my midsoles feel hard as on the originals, whereas these ones feel nice and bouncy, kind of like the originals did, even though this was still a minimal setup back then. This was a fantastic shoe, dude. I loved playing in these. I loved playing in the low tops specifically. Those were phenomenal. Now, one cool fun fact about this particular shoe and this particular colorway is that this originally was a PE, especially during that game. They had never released until right now, again, as a retro for the very first time, which is pretty cool, especially if you are a Steph Curry fan and you've been wanting something like this, because getting a PE is not easy, especially nowadays.
Or if you're a Toys R Us kid.
There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with.
The reason behind this, I believe, is for his daughter Riley, his eldest. So I think her favorite animal or something like that is I don't know for certain. I'm a Curry fan. I'm not a Curry stan. You know what I mean? I'm not in my basement writing them letters and stuff. That'd be weird. But we have seen this like type of colorway before. I can't remember the last time we saw it. I think it was on one of his more recent models. Was it on the 9?
And wrong.
Maybe it was the 8?
Nope, wrong again.
I don't know. Now, as far as changes and stuff, like I said, the only thing that I can really feel and see is the toe box area. The good news is that these fit way more forgiving than the originals. I had two different sizes of the original Curry 2s back when they originally released. My first size was a size 9, and that's the size that I would prefer to play in, although this little guy right in the back here would just dig, which is why I preferred the lows. And then the second sizes that I had are size 9.5, and those were the ones that I would wear casually because the performance fit was way too much for a casual use shoe. Putting these guys on, this really boxy look, this looks awful, I will say. Like I'm actually shocked. This fit right here is way more forgiving, probably because they raised the toe up, so keep that in mind. I would go and try these on if possible, especially if you had the originals, because if you order whatever size that was, they might not fit the same. So I'm just letting you guys know right off the bat. One thing to also note is that these use Speedform, which is something that Under Armour still uses a little bit, but not a whole lot and everything. And Speedform basically, originally at least, was this back part. So this is where they were making the shoes upper in their clothing factories. And it's supposed to be like a seamless fit and everything like that. So inside there's an insole, but it's not removable. Whereas this new version of the Curry 2 now does have a removable insole. It is the same insole that is featured on the Curry 2 Flotro. However, it is heavily glued inside. So be careful if you are trying to remove that and use an orthotic or an additional insole. Everything else on these feels almost identical to the original though. They do feel very comfortable, especially compared to my originals. Again, I'm not sure if that's like an age thing. I think that my foam might be just old and seized up. Whereas these guys right here, they feel fresh out the box like they were just made yesterday. So that's one of the big pluses. The other thing, this is some of the greatest traction ever. Like there's only a handful of shoes where like you could really say that, which was the Jordan 1, the Kobe 9, believe it or not, the Penny 5s, which was a lifestyle shoe, but that thing gripped like every court I ever put them on, including the worst ones. The Air Jordan 28, even though the nubs came off. And these guys, like those shoes, I took them to whatever courts, 24 league games, that stupid tile plastic crap that they use sometimes, man. I hate those. But anyways, this outsole right here gripped all of them, dust or not. So this was, again, one of my favorite shoes at the time, the low top specifically. I loved playing in these things. I wore that red one till they damn near fell apart.
That was totally wicked!
They still feature the charged cushion, just in case you were wondering. I don't think that they really use that much anymore. They might use, actually, I don't think they use it at all. They use hover. Like if it's not Flotro, it's hover. The Flotro stuff is probably some of the best that they've done, outside of Micro G, the real Micro G. But yeah, these guys right here, I think that they're a solid shoe. However, could you upgrade them?
I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah, you can, and they did. Perfect. So these guys right here are the Under Armour Curry 2 Flotro. So this is basically their performance retro, much like the Kobe line with their Protro series, but they call it Flotro instead. And Adidas does it too. They just call it Resto Mod. So theirs is more of a car thing. Theirs is obviously a play on the flow cushioning. And then Nike's is a performance retro, AKA Protro. But essentially it's the same exact concept. They're taking what's old and putting on some new stuff on there, trying to keep the overall, you know, shape, look, flavor, all of that stuff, but clearly it's not the same shoe. These do remind me, like you were saying off camera, a lot of the original lows, which they do for me as well. They just have a much better kind of like rear sculpt and everything like that. This is more traditional, whereas the original lows was just literally a low top speed form. And if your ankles were not compatible with that speed form collar, man, it was just not good. Luckily mine were okay as long as they were lows. Yours did not.
I bled all over the back of them in San Francisco.
Yeah, so you know, it is what it is. I think that it was a nice thought, but I'm very glad that they didn't keep that for the Curry 3. They just switched things up completely and went more traditional with that as well. But where they do upgrade things is obviously the tooling. So we've got a Flotro outsole and midsole. It's all one piece. I guess you could add this to that list, that short list of like greatest tractions, as long as there's not a lot of dust. That's the only downside to this thing, is that if there's any dust caked on here, it's basically like dry mopping the floor with dirt.
Yeah.
But if there's no dust, this stuff sticks like glue, man. Like this, like you will trip over your own feet. Not joking. I've done it plenty of times. I've watched Curry do it plenty of times. It happens. What I really like though about this flow cushion setup is that they did sculpt this way differently than previous Flotro models. Like if we're gonna go and look at the Flotro 4s, it's literally the Curry 8's tooling slapped on a Curry 4 upper, just slightly revamped upper. You know what I mean? Like it's the same stuff. The Curry 1 Flotro, I thought did a good job of mimicking the original midsole design, but still looks very much like Flotro. This though, they mimicked the kind of like charged midsole and stuff much better, to where like this looks different. It looks the same, don't get me wrong, it still look like Flotro. You look at it and you're like, yeah, that's Flotro. I think that's fine. Having a visual cue, much like Light Strike or Boost, like when you see the patterns, React does it too, Renew. When you see the patterns of what's engraved on the foam, that's a visual indicator or representation of what the cushioning is, so that you don't always need to see where it says Flotro or Flow or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But this one right here, I think that they did a great job, especially like when you turn it. Like this is all new design stuff. Like this is all different sculpting, so I think that they did a good job there. So you got all the performance of the new stuff, but with a look of the older stuff. The Flotro still feels like Flotro, so it's still a firmer ride. It's definitely more forgiving than some of the previous Currys though. The 4 specifically, that was one of the like lowest riding ones. One of my favorites though. It just had no cushion, but man, they were awesome. That shoe actually as well, the original traction, whew, man. You know, the Curry shoes, they do a couple of things like really, really great, and it's all in the foundation. They have plenty of stability and they usually have great traction. And those things are great for shooters.
I guarantee it.
Now the insole is actually removable in this shoe, so you can do that. This is actually a yellow Ortholite style foam, so this one's a little bit more dense than the light blue stuff. It's more performance oriented, but it's still crappy. They do fit much like the originals, but a little bit better in the heel area, like I was saying before. So they do fit true to size. The upper is more reminiscent of the Speedform than anything else. I think that's a really cool visual design cue and everything like that. I really like it, but it's not Speedform. It's also way more breathable than the original stuff, which also I think is very cool. So again, even though it's got visual design language that's very similar to an older shoe, this is an upgrade of that original model. I wonder if that's the whole concept behind their Flotro series. I don't know if they've ever like really explained it, but what if they took some of his greatest hits and made them better? Maybe that's what it is. So overall, I think that both of these things are awesome shoes. One for, you know, the people that maybe wanted something that they never could get before in the retro product, and then something new that's still somewhat old, but boasts better performance. Both shoes I think are awesome. If I was gonna pick one to play in, like right now, if I was gonna go grab one of these, and these were my only two options, I'd grab these. They look cooler, they feel better, they don't have that weird ass squared toe that these do. So I don't like the way that those fit. If you got big toes and stuff, or like double socks, you might like this, but I don't like it. And I was not a big fan of this Speedform thing in the back. Like, just look at the shape. Does that look comfortable? No, it doesn't. Fantastic traction though, just saying. But with all that being said, sound off below and let us know what you think about both of these down below in the comment section. Did you grab a pair? Did you not? If you played in them, let us know what your thoughts are, especially if you played in the retro. I wanna know what your thoughts are compared to the original. I think that these fit a little bit different, but feel better underfoot. Let me know if you agree. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you're like, nah, man, the original is the best. All these shoes. I don't know. But with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. We will catch you on the next one. So until then, have a good one.